I'm going to bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's going to be biblical.
Hello there, welcome again to Patriots Across the Pond and Friends, episode 45. Today we've got Charlie Foxtrot on, Charles Foxtrot. Charles is a Q researcher. He's written a book which was forwarded by Mark Atwood called Why Nothing Can Stop What Is Coming. And Charles is also from the correct side of the pond, like I am. Welcome, sir. How are you?
Welcome to you. Thank you very much. Welcome to you both. Thank you for inviting me onto your fabulous show. And it looks brilliant. I've just put it on full screen, similar to the UK, US images there. And I'm having to wear headphones. For some reason, my speakers aren't working. And that intro sounded awesome. Epic, in fact.
Superb.
We get pretty pumped when we listen to it. Doesn't get old.
Yeah, loud through headphones is something else.
So we're all quite happy today because the sun seems to be shining. It was like Kong Island here this morning. I don't know if it was like that where you are down the coast from me, but it's quite sunny now, and Lisa's got the sun. So
I've got a bit of sunshine. We've had fog, and we've had dodgy fog. You know the dodgy fog.
Yeah,
not real. And a bit of rain. Sun's come out now, so hence the sunglasses.
Yeah, incognito, sir.
Well,
so
I have to be.
Do you want to just start off? Give us a bit of an intro to yourself, and just tell us, how your awakening happened and how long you've been doing this.
Yeah, like most of us, I guess. I was my job. I was a chiropractor. I was involved in some business as well, and then they staged a pandemic. And then after about 2 weeks, I'll give them a couple of weeks. I was spraying everything, literally spraying everything, all the food. I even learned how to spray the sprayer. I sprayed it into the air and flipped it up and caught it, and then. But then I realized people weren't dying, so I went off to the supermarkets. I thought, if there's anyone who, if you've got people working in the supermarkets and they're holding sort of 400 or 500 customers worth of food, they're going to be ill. So I thought I'd go up and see how many people are keeling over with this virus. And, it's none. And I tried a few more supermarkets, and then it was one of those aha moments, or those moments when you just think, holy, that this is staged. And then you realize, well, this is the government and the BBC. This is massive. This is like your worst dream. It's pure dystopia. Anyway, so yeah, very quickly I was involved. I was kind of organizing all kinds of sort of I don't know. We used to go en masse into supermarkets without our masks on to try and just sort of remind people what normal was, and then obviously, a bit later on with all the injections, I was going into into the vac centres and serving them with notice and just doing everything you can, and obviously just constantly arguing with friends and family who obviously think that you're a tinfoil hat wearer, and they, as we all know, they become abusive and quite nasty with it, and that they've got the cognitive dissonance and the Stockholm syndrome, and you're just an idiot who's read stuff on the internet. So, like most of us, I just became completely discombobulated, couldn't really understand what was going on. It's quite clear to me I knew what was going on. It's quite clear to me everyone around me thought I was mad and just wouldn't go there. They were just being willfully ignorant. And so I just thought I'd write it down in a Substack, because I was having loads of conversations with people, written conversations, like WhatsApps and emails and what have you. And they just became, not me, they became more and more ridiculous with their arguments, just completely nonsensical. But even so, I just ended up writing it down, and then I did some Substacks, and the publisher saw the Substacks and asked me to write a book. And in the book, I have all the communication I was having with my friends and family, and of course they look really bad in it, especially now looking back a few years later. And then I told them, well, I'm going to publish a book, and all your stuff is going to be in it, because it has to be real. This is almost like a study in psychology in a dystopian fake pandemic. Who would have thought there'd ever be such a thing? So I wrote that, and but I did promise to them that I'd write under a pseudonym, sort of hide my identity, because they don't want the whole world knowing what they were writing to me, in email. Hence, I feel a total fraud wearing some kind of disguise. I'm not really. It's a token gesture, but I just changed my name. And anyway, really soon after waking up, I found Q. Now I had been looking at some of the drops from about 2019, because I was really fascinated with the V for Vendetta and the Guy Fawkes mask thing. And whenever I read a Q drop, I just instantly knew it was from very high level intelligence. It was that sophisticated and that complex. And then I was involved with, there's a whole bunch of people who would call themselves truthers, and you'd be involved in lots of groups like on Telegram or what have you. And I'd started to say, well, chill out, everyone, because there is a good force at play. And oh, well, what do you mean? Well, it's in the Q drops. Oh, you're a Q-tard, so you get that. And then actually it's a great T-shirt. Yeah, I'm proudly calling myself a Q-tard now.
Mm-hmm.
And of course I was letting the side down, because I was just sitting back waiting to be saved by my prophet. And I found that they were worse than the normies. They were really nasty, and the amount of arguments I would have where it was so one-sided, because of course they don't understand Q, let alone devolution. And we try and explain devolution to them, the old hyphen.
Yeah, the pause.
But you have to, Q and the pause go hand in hand. They're both of equal importance.
Yeah.
But I find myself trying to explain, and I was thinking, just go and research yourself. Just do all the work, because it's tiring, isn't it? It's hard work. And I'd have these conversations with 5, 6, 7, 8 people during the day, and they'd phone me up, and and it just got ridiculous. So actually, in the end, I just thought, well, I'll have to explain it then. I'll do it as succinctly as I possibly can. And my best effort at being as succinct as possible is 380 odd pages. That's the best I could do. But also like a lot of in the Q posts, it's sort of, you can't tell the people, you have to show them. That's why it's called Why. So
I think that is the most important line in all of the Q drops, pretty much.
Well, it is. It is absolutely. Yeah. There's so many important lines, but it at the end of the day, it's pretty basic. It's not. You know, it's not a whole. It's not as cryptic as people think. It's not a load of nonsense. Honestly, it's these people who call themselves truthers. They really don't know very much, and neither did I until I started reading the Q drops, because we don't know what we don't know, do we?
Right.
I mean, so the people that I was mixing with who knew there was an Illuminati, or, you know, they're poisoning us, or some of them are eating our children and blah, 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 blah. They don't know the real detail. They don't know who is involved they have no idea how wide and how deep the deep state is.
Right.
That's the thing. We live amongst them. It's not just the Illuminati, you know, it's not just Bill Gates and a couple of mates, but we had to read the Q drops to understand the complexity and the networks of the deep state, right? And it's massive. It's massively deep, and it's been entrenched for decades. So then I wrote that, and just at the back, it just says 4,966 drops of military intelligence prove a genius sting operation is in play. The globalist deep state criminal network has been trapped, and there's nothing they can do. So enjoy the show, but buckle up. And then I've got the old endless lies, endless wars, blah, blah, blah. Q will become the greatest story ever told. Because I think when we come out the other end, Q will be taught in schools.
Yeah.
I think a lot of things
generations.
are going to come out of this in terms of how people, you know, how education is going to change. But I wanted to say it's really interesting because we have like a real life study going on right now, because I was, you know, similar to you, being told I was crazy, tinfoil, the whole thing, you know, for years. My first, foray was at a Christmas dinner when I was dared to say that I thought, this was in 2008, maybe. And I said that Michelle Obama was a man, and people were like, they didn't even really get nasty. They just put, you are so fucking crazy. And I was like, okay, maybe I am. It doesn't mean I'm wrong. I may be crazy, but it doesn't mean I'm wrong. But what I was going to say is I had relatives, and one of my cousins who I love dearly was always like, so is everyone a pedophile? Like, he would make fun of me. So but what is it now? A month, Stu?
About 5 weeks ago.
5 weeks. He sends me a text one morning after the Epstein drop, and he's like, Elisa, I owe you such an apology. And I'm like, when I first read it, I'm like, what is he talking about? He goes, I'm so humbled. And I don't say I'm humbled to anyone. I'm so humbled about everything you said was true. And so I spoke to Stu, and he's like, maybe we could get him on the show. So now we do this weekly show called Red Pilling Renee, and he comes on. And so we're watching the real time awakening and the pain, because it's painful. You know what I mean? And so you're right. They have to be shown. You can't, unless you're like us and you sort of, I guess we were shown too, there's no question, in little bits and pieces, but we had our eyes a little more open. We were probably a little more open to the idea of being proven wrong from what we thought we knew. And we had maybe strength of stamina to say, I can survive if everything I believe isn't true. So let me explore more. And a lot of people don't have that. The cognitive dissonance, the Stockholm syndrome, it's very strong. So you're absolutely right. That is probably one of the most significant psychological comments that's in the Q drops. Yeah.
I think the Truth Stream, is it? The American guys who do
Joe and Scott.
No, not them. There's the other lot with Dave and
News Treason.
They've got Joe Rambo. They've got one, haven't they? Who's sort of waking up.
Mickey and
Mickey.
Mickey, that's it. I don't watch a lot of that, but I did see that. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we know that there's a percentage who'll never wake up. So, you know, we're not going to try and hit 100%. I'm also not in the business of waking anyone up anymore.
No, I'll just plant the seeds and they can have it. You know, I've had 7 Facebook accounts taken and many other accounts. I was arguing with people all the time. And when my first Facebook got shut down, I was upset for 17 minutes until I really started thinking about it. And I thought, I need to direct my time doing other things. And that was in September 2020 when they shut that down. Yeah. I think we've done our bit. We've done everything we possibly could, but certainly we're not sitting back waiting to be saved. I am waiting to be liberated. I think that's a slightly different thing.
Yeah.
Because we are, we're in our Biden years here in the UK, and you've still got blue states in the States who are in their Biden years, haven't you? So.
Well, I don't know if I would classify it as that per se. I think what we have here in the States, because you have to remember, what's a blue state? Is a blue state because who's ever in charge is a Democrat, but that doesn't mean the state is really blue. Like here in New York, it's majority red, but we still have the corruption where the blue, the blue fools are getting in. So there's got to be like a takedown of that. But you asked me before, how are things in New York? And it's really interesting because I have a couple of relatives in the hospital. And so one of them had a roommate in the hospital who tested positive for COVID. Now, you have to understand, this is a relative who like massive fights over the over the shot. I mean, massive. Like
we've all been there.
Yeah. So she's in there now, and she's saying to me last night, and I still couldn't believe this, but I had to just like zip it, She said, I mean, this woman was sick for so long. Of course it's COVID. And I was like, So then they had to give her a test because she's rooming with her. And they told her she didn't have it. And she said, I could have told them that I didn't have it. So now she doesn't have it. Okay. But they have to like quarantine her, whatever the hell. They have to keep her in a room by herself or something. So the point I'm making is, how is this still going on? How is this still going on in hospitals? Like, it's amazing to me. And there's still commercials nonstop. Like, I don't have regular TV, but on YouTube, on the radio, you can now get your COVID and your flu shot together. Ask your healthcare provider. If you call the hospital, they have the hold, message, and that's what's. So how are things? Well, you just said you guys are still in the Biden years. What are we in? We're still in dystopia here.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I saw a video, an advert actually yesterday. It made me laugh. It was Microsoft, and I didn't actually watch the video or the story to this advert, but the front line was Hank knows pizza, Microsoft knows his business, or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And when I saw that, I just thought, well, come on. And then I watched it. I couldn't believe it. I thought, oh, brilliant. This is on YouTube. This was like a paid advert on YouTube. And I thought, so I watched it. And of course, there was this character called Hank who had a pizza business and blah, 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 blah. But there is no way on earth that nobody would have thought, hold on, maybe we shouldn't be saying Hank loves pizza. So this is white hat stuff, isn't it? This is all sort of waking up, and this is why you've got sort of occupied states, with people who've been pushed into maintaining the hard left narrative to to keep us all. It's like the whole Q operation. The whole lot have to come down. Can't be 50%. No. It's the whole lot need to be caught, and they need to come down. This is right down to the local councillors or the chief of police or people in the schools. All of these people who are caught up in it, whether they're real, whether they even know. Some of them probably don't. They've just been brainwashed, just as much socially engineered for decades. But nevertheless, they're part of the system, and they're probably corrupt. Even if they probably, maybe they just get away with sort of behaving in a certain way, and that's okay with them. But the people have to know this. The people have to see it, because the people need to want it, and the people need to demand it. I could get into the why no arrests thing, because I mean that's quite an obvious one to me at the moment. But people need to see how deep and how wide the deep state are for them to reach their precipice and demand action.
And I also think, like, I agree with you 100%, because I do think this is the narrative. Because how are you really going to be able to tell how many people have awoken? They're not going to go door to door with a clipboard, right? So they have these ads and they keep putting it. So, if there was 80%, what is it now? Like, with all what we're doing, who's actually still buying into this? What are the real statistics on people that are getting their shots so I think they need to still do this to weigh, it's not working, or there's still just that small percentage, or, like I've known kids in my family who just go get their boosters every, whatever the hell it is, every freaking 5 months, 6 months. So I think they're litmus testing a lot of these areas with these crazy ads and stuff, right? I mean, it would seem that that's the way they tell who's falling for it, who's not.
Yeah, I think we're hurtling towards the necessary scare event, though.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm just saying, a lot of people we listen to and the investigations we do is that, especially with Trump saying on July the 4th and 250 years, and these next few months are going to be pretty special. I think we're going to see election frauds coming out, whether that's going to be the catalyst to the start of how did they steal the election? Then comes COVID, et cetera, et cetera. But it's building. We can all feel it.
We've got the leading edge of the storm that's here, and it's like the little tip of the iceberg. You're right. I mean, when Trump addressed the WEF, which was just fantastic, especially after they tried to spoil it halfway across the Atlantic, whatever happened to their plane. I don't know how the guy does it, because I mean, he's at it 24/7 every day. It's unbelievable. But anyway, I can't even imagine this. This shows how the white hats are in control, because the WEF participants wouldn't invite Trump to come and give them that absolute rollicking like he did. So it happened, and you're right. I mean, he basically said that the 2020 election was stolen. They've got all the proof. Of course, they've always had all the proof, and arrests are coming. And when he said that, he was probably talking to half of the audience, because, of course, the EU, MI6 and Italian satellites and German servers and what have you are all heavily involved in that steal. So, yeah, absolutely. But I think you're right. I think we are. I think everything is going to really accelerate. I think this operation in Iran is only going to be a few weeks long. Then you're right. I think we've got 2020 stuff coming up. I see Sidney Powell's back in the picture.
Yeah.
I was waiting for her to show up again. Jag. Yeah. Grok says no, but I always thought she was Jag.
Yeah.
This is something. What do you mind me slipping in a few questions? I've been looking forward to this. What do you think of?
Yeah, I'll just say quickly though, because we were laughing about that. They had a red carpet rolled out for the Trump at the WEF and at Davos. He walked in there with his testicles in a wheelbarrow. And something else we said is that these World Economic Forum and Yuval Noah Harari and all these people, I use the term loosely, they've always hidden in the shadows. Everything we've seen over the last 4, 5, 6 years, they've been on the TV in front of the world, and we know Trump did his capitulation tour in 2017, 2018, and then the Bin Salman incident, and he went all around Silicon Valley and stuff. So we think they've controlled Twitter a long time before Elon came in and all these other things,
Well, the deep state communicated in DMs in Twitter, didn't they? Thinking it was one of their safe havens.
They were also using video games as well, weren't they? Star Wars games and things.
They were, and they were also using Gmail in drafts.
Yeah.
So like 1,000 of them shared one Gmail account and just spoke in drafts. But of course, Space Force has got it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. No, I was just see you're talking about Jag, and I was saying, what do you think of Lindsey Graham? Goodie or baddie?
Well, I don't know. Look, what makes a good movie? Great actors. Now, we know that this cabal has had us over a barrel for potentially 6,000 years, and these white actors have had to re-infiltrate and back, and that has taken decades, if not longer. And they've had to, they've
had to wait for the technology. Had to wait for the technology to arrive to be able to do it, haven't they? The White Hats. Yeah. This operation.
Yeah.
So Trump's no fool. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. And whether they are White Hats in disguise or whether Trump is putting them front and centre in front of the world's people, it's all having the same outcome in the end.
It's all deception. It's all art of war. We are in the pain and leverage phase, which I'm loving. Everyone's shouting at me and everyone else. Where's the arrest? Oh, why aren't they arresting people? Well,
so
no.
annoying.
Well, the judiciary is 100% compromised, so that'll be no good. B, the DOJ doesn't have all the information anyway. It's with military, right? And C, we're in the pain and leverage phase. So they're being white-mailed. All of these people who Trump has the dirt on, he's leveraging them into doing good stuff, right? So there was that brilliant meeting that he had with it was actually a Melania Trump meeting on AI, and all of the top CEOs were there. Zuckerberg and Cook from Microsoft, is it? I can't remember
Apple.
now. Apple. All of them were there, all bowing to Trump and thanking him for his fantastic leadership and vowing to spend billions and put billions into the economy and then Trump just happened to mention in front of them. You see what they're doing in the UK? They're trying to stop free speech in the UK, and he goes, "We won't let that happen." No, we won't let that happen. which is why we can still read everything on YouTube. Which is why we can still see everything on Facebook and all of them. So that's the leverage. That's the white. I keep saying white labeling, white mailing.
Yeah.
Just while we're on that subject, because I've been asking all our guests, and I've been putting a little compilation together. What is your advice to the black pillars and the nothing is happening crowd? Go and buy my book. Yeah,
I wrote it for that reason. They have to understand Q, and they have to understand devolution, or whatever you want to call it. It is quite complicated, but it's not that complicated. Once you understand, Q is all about using the Socratic method, right? So it asks questions, and it asks the kinds of questions that you wouldn't even think of. So you go and do a bit of research, and then you might. In my book, I've got an abbreviation list which helps, but you get to know a hell of a lot more. But if Q's asking those questions, you know damn well Q knows the answers, right? Yeah. So if Q's saying this person is in bed with this person and they're stealing this money and they're creating this, whatever that's nefarious, it could be vaccines, it could be terrorism, it could be everything. Once you know that top level military intelligence knows all this stuff, you get to see how they're systematically destroying the old guard or the deep state. You can see it. We can see it. Like you and I, you both and I are pretty calm with everything. We have been for years because every day we definitely see things unfurling. Every day, don't we? We see, there's comms and proofs, but there's just actions, and you think, I kind of knew that was coming.
Yes.
So we're calm. we're fine. And even if we get the Sum of All Fears event, so like a nuclear false flag, and then maybe we get the big scare event, which I think is going to be the big sort of standoff, like Cuban Missile Crisis, times 5,000. I'll be fine.
Yeah, same as that. Comfy AF. Do you think we might get a fake alien invasion and a banking collapse and the internet go down at the same time?
Well, we will have a banking collapse because both sides want it. Both sides want it, right? So, but I don't know about the timing of that. So much has got to happen. So my belief is they're not going to hold a World Cup in America if Antifa are burning the place down or whatever. I'm pretty sure, and the World Cup coincides with Spielberg's Disclosure film, right? Yeah. This is just a guess. I think that Disclosure film is going to be the kind of big reveal. I think they've had Spielberg locked up in a film studio for the last year. You're going to disclose everything, right? And the whole world is going to see it. And then the World Cup will be a celebration of freedom or something similar. But I mean, the current trailer is all about aliens. I don't think we're going to get the alien invasion, and I don't even think that film is going to be about aliens, because I believe that it might be the big Disclosure film. But that's just a hunch.
Yeah. I actually have a couple of things. So just that I was writing as we were going. So just jumping back to Lindsey Graham, what's interesting about that guy is that, if you go back, Trump used to go golfing with him and hang out with him, right? I don't know. Not recently. Exactly. Yeah. And if you remember back, I guess I think it was 22, the years just seemed to like all blend together, but it was a way. Do you remember the films of him like walking through the airport, just getting abused by people? So my point is, there's a chance that this guy, like, we can make an argument either way. And I think that's when we as truthers or, people that are awake, when we think, or, people, some of us, not all of us, think, oh, we know everything. We don't. We're being psyop too. Like, so it's a military operation. They're not gonna, right? So that's my thought on Graham. I have no idea. I could speculate a good argument either way. He's a good guy, he's a bad guy. The other thing is too, that when we see this stuff kind of playing out, right, which I'm sure you're of that ilk as well, it means it's done. So even if you say, like we say, some of this stuff they can't disclose because there's ongoing investigations and there's ongoing cases, we don't know if that's BS because it's already done, but they have to play it out for the public to look as if it's an ongoing. And the best example, I think, most recently of that is the Hillary deposition, because if you look at it, and I think it was Scott McKay and Alpha and Josh Reed and Jaco that were chatting about this, made the really good point that that's an old video. So chances
the deposition is
the deposition.
Okay.
Yes, a very old video of her. She's very young, like, the more recent Hillarys, again, we kind of know she's taken care of, but the ones they show,
because they brought up they mentioned Pizza Gate,
and we know how old,
Q.
right? And Frazzle Drip and all that. So we know that was like a long time ago, so to speak. So you have to wonder if they have taped, which we heard they're taping it all in analog. None of this is digital. And when they do these things, whether it's a deposition or a trial or military tribunal, it's that they have this, but they have to play it out, right?
Yeah.
And I thought one of the most interesting points that they made on that roundtable was, why was it so private? Like, she actually, I think, requested that it not be private, but a lot of this is voiceover. They're getting it out to the public so they could start to hear this. But you and I and Stu and a lot of us realize this is not happening now. So I think with some of these redactions, I'm sorry, Stu, like they have to do that because they have to still give the appearance. And I'm not saying everybody's been dealt with, but the point is some of these bigger people have, and all these redactions are because they have to still give the illusion that it's ongoing. And also, if you're trying to get the lower minions, right, you want to get everybody that's in this swamp, then they have to feel the pain. Like, you said, they have to feel like we're coming after you. Go ahead.
But just add one thing to that. The fact that you only saw Hillary and Bill and the lawyers in that as well. You never saw the video of anyone asking the questions. You only heard the audio, which could have been dubbed in at any time by, Sir Coma and people like that.
Yeah, I think we're at the point, like you say, it's done. It's going to happen, regardless of what we say and do. We're all in speculation mode, really, now. It could be, it may be, it may be not. Yes, we are still in the process of waking people up to certain narratives and what have you. But I find it interesting. Q's suddenly become a bit mainstream now as well, which is interesting because I'm seeing a lot of people maybe misreading and maybe looking for stuff that's not there. I don't know if you have. For example, I saw. Go on.
Well, no, I'm just going to say Q is still dropping, just not on the boards. You got the Department of Labour, the White House account. Trump's putting out stuff. Flynn, many accounts are posting. Kirill Dmitriev. They're all basically putting out Q drops.
Well, Dan Scavino's doing it every other day, isn't he? They are. It's like Trump himself has been putting out images with Q+. One of the things that I find that a lot of people don't realize is that Trump introduced himself to 4chan 2 years before Q posted, and I just find that fascinating because he tweeted a picture of himself as Pepe the Frog with his quiff standing as president of the United States. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
2015 that was. And then he was nominated as the GOP's candidate, and there was and again he stood, with the Pepe pose, and then I think someone on the board said, if you are watching us on 4chan, Mr. Trump, can you tweet something with the word amazing in? And like 50 seconds later he did. So we don't need confirmation that Trump is part of Q. Right. But like you say, there are people, there are the White House, and other people are putting out comms, but they're not new, are they? I mean, obviously, the last we had those 13 drops in 22, which I'm still not 100% convinced come from the same people, because I remember reading those and thinking that they're just a different tone, but I love them. They're really good, especially the final word, ascension, and the one that says, I'm not a prophet, we're not a prophet, you're not a prophet. I mean, I'll kind of start my book with that one. Actually, I'll start the book with the endless, just to try and explain to people, who the deep state are, and how we're going to be going through a process, a systematic process. So one thing has to be done before the other. So they have to extract Maduro first before they, go to Iran. I think Maduro is who do you think was the first arrest? I think it's Maduro.
Yeah, potentially. That's certainly going to set the direction. However, I mention this a lot. Q drop 3716, 3717 both say exactly the same thing and were dropped at exactly the same time about the first indictment unseal and the first arrest. So Maduro was a massive arrest for us, but not for the normies, I don't really think. I think we might still see a first double arrest, which will be something that will really scare the shit and put the wind up people, i.e. if they arrested Obama and Hillary, say, publicly, or they arrested Bill Gates and Fauci at the same time, that is going to wake a lot of people up.
I mean, signifying the course of action and what have you. So I just found it interesting that it came fairly soon after Trump spoke to the WEF to say that arrests are coming, for the 2020 election, and of course, Venezuela was very much involved with system, Dominion and Smartmatic, and I thought that was a very, very good show to the EU lot. It's like, I don't care who the fuck you are, we can just come straight in and just pull you out of wherever you think you're safe.
Then again, we don't know, because it could just have all been a show. Do you know? And perhaps if they were there for real, the military and everything, they may have been there for other reasons. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, he might have already been extracted. And so it just, I always go back to the idea that when we watch things and hear them, it can't possibly be in real time, because that's too risky. So it had to have already happened. And then you have to figure, while we're watching this, Maduro, they're doing something else. And then, a week later, we're hearing about that. We're all like Iran. So
it was like Biden's inauguration. That was
exactly.
That was funny.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it wasn't, I don't know how you guys felt being in the UK, but that was one of the most, like, I literally, after, like, from the election, now I had started, I was a little bit of a latecomer to Q. So I was more like around 2020, like during election year, not like from the beginning in 2017. But when the night of the election, as an American, as a New Yorker who knew more than likely he was never going to win in New York, even though like almost every person I knew, wanted him, right? Because kind of understood a little bit that there was something wrong in this state, However, when that did happen, that he was, the loser, I literally was sick, like physically sick for like a week, like emotionally, spiritually, my stomach was in a knot. And then we had all the stuff going on in Twitter, like it was the build on Twitter, and, everybody was going berserk, but then with the Biden inauguration, I watched it on and off because it was so painful, because I was like, they're coming in, they're going to take these bastards out. Like, I was just waiting, and then it didn't happen. But what woke me up, again, as an American, because I didn't until Derek Johnson really came along and started to make us look at those very specific military comms.
Yeah.
What made me go, what the hell, was when they were driving and the military was turning their back. Yeah. And then I said, something's wrong. He can't be maybe Trump's still it. Like, that made me go down the rabbit hole. So to your point about this, I think a lot of people that might have felt a little awake were so traumatized. And I don't know how that affected you guys, because like watching this, we were literally traumatized, because we were led to believe, right, in some way, that we were going to be saved. They were going to come in and they were going to cover Obama, and then so it was it took a while to realize it was
exactly the same for me. I mean, apart from it having an extra element, as I had $3,000 bet on Trump winning, because I was so sure he was going to. And then I in England, I watched the live, the shift when they took. It
was like 3 a.m. our time, I think.
Yeah, because I was watching it live. It seemed about 3 o'clock in the morning our time. I don't know, but anyway, it was.
I think that's when they officially, like, I stayed up, because then they made it all official that those were the real numbers. But it was a shift. You're probably right. Probably around 10 or 11 o'clock Eastern time. It was a shift.
Yeah. Well, I was so stunned and so because I was saying to people way before Trump has to win, otherwise we're in big trouble. Nobody who I spoke to knew why I was saying that. But I went out and I went for a walk along by the beach, and I was just completely blown away by it. But I was just seeing all these people celebrating.
Yeah.
And I just, all these stupid people. And but anyway, then that
was our precipice moment. If you think about it, we're sitting here talking about normies and unawakened, but I thought I was pretty awake, but obviously not, because I fell right into it. And it saved me, because I was like screaming to everybody, what are they? This is a coup against the republic. Like, I was going crazy, and I'm talking to people who were like, woohoo, they're off getting on, figuring out like if they have COVID. But what I think happened to us is that was the gut punch for a lot of us.
Yeah, I was waiting for Scooby-Doo ended, military come down, whipped Joe Biden's mask off, but then we started hearing, reporters were saying, it was sunny this day, Richard Citizen journalist, and it was cloudy that day. Charlie Ward was saying, I watched inauguration 8 hours before. Trump left, didn't he, on Air Force One, basically saying, you mate, I'll be back in some form, and we're going, what's going on? Biden had to charter his own plane.
I think the best was the funeral gun salute at Arlington Cemetery.
But it was it wasn't Derek Johnson came in straight after that. It's Patel Patriot came in after that with his he started everyone. I'll just tell you though, I've still got my betting slip down there from COVID. Trump to win all 50 states, and I'm keeping that.
Apparently, you even once everything is proven, you won't get your money. I looked into it. If you bet on a horse and it's beaten by a horse that was doped or whatever, they won't pay out.
Really?
So you won't get a payout. You won't get a payout.
I'll just put it in a picture frame then.
Yeah, exactly.
What's interesting? You just said, Stu, that he said, I'll be back in some form. Right now, we know that every single word that Trump says has meaning. There's no mistakes. There's no. Never. So what's the form? Is it that it's not really him that we're watching? He's still in Cheyenne Mountain. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many interesting things. But I'll tell you that Charlie Ward saying that he watched it whatever number of hours earlier, that's what first started to give me peace, because I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So now we're going into the show, and this really isn't like, I'm not living in a weird, but it was that was painful. So I think this movie, this whole thing, nobody has been saved, if you will, from like getting a sharp slap across the face of bringing their awareness and awakened to a whole new level. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we all had our pain at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember seeing there was Bush and Clinton and Obama together. And did you see that when Obama glitched out? And behind him was a Frankfurter, like a hot dog.
Yes.
It was just like, when I saw that, I mean, it's flipping hell. It was obvious then that we're watching some massive staged production. Castle Rock and all of that.
We saw all these people walking about in boots, didn't they? They'd all broken their leg, then they were swapping their boots from one side to the other. Yeah. I've only got enough bandwidth in my head for so much, so I can't go down too much alien roots or they're not really alive, they're dead, and those people who are dead are really alive. I'm very happy to find out when we come out the end that Diana and Michael Jackson are still alive or whatever. But a lot of the baddies are definitely going to be goodies, and a lot of the goodies are definitely going to be baddies. That's why I was asking about Lindsey Graham, because he was Jag, wasn't he? Yeah,
that's the thing with him. Yeah, he was Jag, and he's Iron Eagle, I believe.
Right. Yeah. So what do you think about AOC then? Do you think she's a white hat plant?
Well, I mean, these people are just so ridiculous. Probably. Exactly. I don't know what I tell you what I can't make up my mind about is oh God, what's her name? Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah.
I think she's playing a baddie. I think she's still a goodie. You know when Musk and Trump had their ridiculous falling out when they did the black eye marker and shifted from Doge to Trump's in, he's one of them. He's in the files.
Yeah,
they're having a laugh as well, aren't they? A lot of these players are playing, because I just remember Musk sort of laughing with stood behind Trump. He's got the black eye. He'd been wearing a black hat for a while, remember, as well, leading up to that. Yeah, playing the baddie. So I think some of these people are playing amazing roles. I mean, Pam Bondi, when she had to put up with all that shit, and then she said, okay, if you want to have a look at the files, I'll give you a laptop each. Go on, fill your boots. Oh, so and so's been looking up themselves.
Another sting operation, right there.
There's this is sting operation after sting operation after sting operation, and the beautiful thing is they jump in with both feet with every single one. Yeah, it's fantastic.
It is amazing to see. That's why I'm living my best life. We've all lost people throughout this war. We've lost friends, family, and some people have died and stuff. But I do understand that if you're going to take down this global behemoth that have been controlling everything for thousands of years, there is going to be collateral damage. And this military alliance have had to make some tough decisions. But if anyone had the decision of we're going to steam in now, civil war everywhere, and we might lose 50% of the people, or we're going to let them carry on and do what they're doing with the Georgia Guidestones and take out 95% of the people, or we're going to play this movie out covertly and we might lose 4 to 6% of the people. You've got to make these decisions.
It's like the warp speed discussion. If you have that discussion, you're always going to be.
I've done 2 podcasts just on that subject of what Trump had to do and what he couldn't do. And, Elisa and I talk a lot about, I don't know if you've watched the Devolved five-part series by Dauntless Dialogue. He basically took all of the Devolution series, all 25 parts and the addendums, and put it into a 5-video series. They're only about 45 minutes to an hour long each.
No, I did the hard work and read them all.
He talks about how the military were working on a vaccine behind the scenes for a long time, and we believe, or we manifest, that much of this stuff going out now, and has been for a long time, is saline solution. Because if you're gonna, you've got this elderly generation that all they've done all their life is watch the TV. They support the royal family, and if you tell these people you can't have your flu shot, you can't have your COVID jab, there's a panic and fear into these people. So maybe, like Elisa was saying earlier, they are still sticking a jab in anyone who wants it. But it's number one, it is saline or something good for them, and number two, it keeps them pacified as this movie plays out. And I believe as well that it was the white hats that took us all off Twitter and censored us. Certain people, because number one, they had to wait normies out, and number two, they knew this plan was an 8, 9, 10 year.
Are you talking about us who are taken off Twitter?
Yes. The truthers.
Yeah. Well, the truthers or the Q lot. Yeah. I was as well. I was banned for about a year and a half.
We were all like one fell swoop. But if you think about it as a movie, okay, there's a whole, this is why this thing is so beautiful, because it's like 5D. There's just, but if you think of it as a movie, we were gonna be the spoilers. So they had to get rid of us. You know what I mean? Like people are gonna spoil it. Get them all on Telegram, get them the hell out of here.
Yeah. I can't do Telegram anymore. It's just like
it's a lot.
You miss it. It just rolls past. But I think our role, unfortunately, is supposed to be the calm before and during the storm. Well, I'm kind of a bit tired of that now, to be honest.
Oh yeah, we all want the band-aid whipped off. Do you know anything about Cicada 3301?
I've got no idea what that is. No.
Right. Okay. Just have a look into that. Just have a little Google or whatever. It's basically, I think it was about 2012. They started putting these sort of comms out, and it started on 4chan as well. To get people to dig, they started putting these puzzles out, and we believe that was the Q team putting this stuff onto the internet to see if 5 years later the Q operation would work. And I actually think we did a better job than they thought we would, because we were smashing out so much information. They thought, well, we might have to censor these guys, but it'll work two ways, you know?
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. So, it's good to be on a Q. It's good to be on a Q-based show, because it's the first. There's something I want to do actually. I want to do a sort of like UK version with a bit of a round table kind of thing, because it's. I've been on a few, and generally I'm speaking to people who've got no idea. So it's it's all very sort of basic stuff that was going around the circles.
Well, I don't, we don't. I've been away a long time, since 9/11. I've been sharing videos and getting laughed at and all these things for over 2 decades. That's fine. But when the Q operation came back in, me and Elisa say that if your analysis isn't in some shape based on the Q drops, it's because I've got some very intelligent mates that are. Anyone that follows Q is a fucking idiot. Right?
Yeah.
So
blows
I don't
my
think
mind.
they're that intelligent anymore. They just constantly and in fact,
maybe they're educated. Maybe they're educated but not intelligent.
Well, there's
exactly.
a total
Which
difference.
is why
They're indoctrinated too. They're educated.
Yeah, this is why a lot of people that fell for COVID were the most educated. They were the most.
Yeah.
It's establishment. Of the normal.
So if the scientists tell us, it must be true, because I work and live with scientists because I operate at that level. I went to university and blah 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 blah. Yeah.
What my most ridiculous that I saw posted on social media, you guys must have seen this, like when people would post the the little meme thing. It didn't have a picture. It said, "I don't trust the government, and even I'm taking precautions against COVID." and I used to crack up, because everybody that I saw that posted that was like educated. You know what I mean? They were doctors and therapists and and I remember
part of the gang.
I'm starting, I don't know where you are in this whole journey, but like I still get really bad bouts of anger and rage at the stupidity, but I'm starting to get a little better, where I don't have the rage. That's just like, you just want to go up and hit them over the head with like a 2x4.
Even now, if I'm walking along by the seafront and someone walks past me and they're wearing a mask, I can't stop. I can't stop myself. I might say wanker or something, or I might. Sometimes this is what I've done. I've taken out my phone. I've pretended I'm on the phone to someone. I'm saying, I can't believe it. There's some fucking idiot still wearing a mask out. As I'm walking past them, I can't stop myself. Yeah, I'm still like, they're triggered. Yeah. Last weekend, I was in a pub with my friend, and we were just talking. And he's pretty awake. He's not really bought into Q. He keeps, whenever I mention Q things to him, his face goes all blank, because he still thinks when I say, "Oh, look at this," in relation to some recent event, a very, very clear proof or he still thinks that they've only just quickly written it, to match what I'm talking about. But anyway, we were in this pub talking, and some people next to us heard the name Trump. Oh my God, they just exploded. And we ended up almost having a proper barroom brawl. But the good thing is, and I was surprised, there was probably just as many people on our side who were speaking up. They were just sat there quietly having their beer. Actually, mate, I agree with you. I thought, that's good.
Yeah, that's the silent majority, yeah?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, I find it difficult, in that pub, because people know my views, my views. I hate that. Or your views or your beliefs. It's,
Right.
I know.
11
no,
million
right?
hours of research, and it's your opinion.
Yeah. So they all still come, to have some comfort. They just want me to tell them that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Which it is. It is. But there's oh my God, they're going to lose it. It really is sort of buckle up, buttercups. Because you're going to go through the hell of a shock.
Well, they're going to get slammed. Yeah. I mean, listen, we got slammed too. I think that Biden inauguration was a little bit of a slamming for us and a wake-up moment. But it's interesting. I was listening to a bunch of shows over the weekend, right? And I'm hearing all these females in high positions with Trump. And I'm thinking the biggest lie was this whole idea about Trump. One of them is how he's so sexist.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look at the women. Like, there's so many women that he's surrounded with, that he, right? And even if you look at his daughter, she was on his show. She was, person who, like, his wives, his ex-wives, they, even though the marriage didn't work with Ivana, she was running the company. She was, he bowed to her in so many ways, like publicly, he would say she knows better. She's a good businesswoman. So how relatively intelligent people could buy into because of the one ridiculous thing that he said in the locker room.
Yeah.
About grabbing, like, that is your answer. You don't look at anything else that this man has.
This is how it works. This is how it all works. This is the whole Marxist kind of operation. You've got 20 truths, and if they slip one little untruth in, it renders the whole thing a lie, right? And that's how they work. They slip everything in all the time to try and trigger these people with TDS. So it doesn't matter how much good stuff they see, if they're fed one little piece of bullshit that might suggest, what made me laugh is when they brought out those in the first or second wave of the Epstein list came out, and there's a picture of Trump at Mar-a-Lago, and he's got like four girls who are in their 20s next to him, and of course they put the black square in front of their faces, so instantly they're like 8-year-old traffic sex victims. And the amount of people who sent me that and jumped on it. But the beautiful thing is, so did the media. So when I saw the Guardian print that, I just laughed my head off, because that's it. You're done. You're going to be sued. Your ass is going to be sued, because you're pretty much saying this is hard evidence that Trump's, a pedo or whatever, and it clearly isn't anyway.
Yeah, and he was also, he owned the not Miss US, was it Miss USA? So couldn't that have been from all those, show, like?
Well, it was.
It's very strategic, and I think it's brilliant, because obviously they're all well insulated and they don't get insulted by this anymore, right? Which, if you know the way the story is ending, if you know what's done, you don't care what people say. However, I think this is building that need for people to go, we want more files. We want more files.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. That was the whole point of Musk saying Trump's in the files, wasn't it? So that all the Dems, who probably haven't got up to some bad stuff like that, were demanding it, crying out for it. There were quite a few Dems who were strangely quiet.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it was beautiful, wasn't it? All the people with TDS were calling for him, and then 2 days later, Trump and Elon were best mates again. It was beautiful to see. I just want to read a tweet out for you. That's one of my favourites from 2020. It's from Eyes on Q. How do you explain to someone that their entire belief system and life has been based on a fabricated reality of lies and deceit? And Fifth Dimension replied, this was March the 4th, 2020. Our job isn't to wake them up. Our job is to soothe them during the awakening process. Which is,
it's okay soothing people, but if they're nasty and they really give you a hard time, sometimes it's,
Well, those aren't the people. Those aren't the people.
I'm telling fuck off, but I just ignore it. I don't really engage. And what you said earlier, I taught Elisa the word wanker. and that's one of her favourite words now.
Oh, right, it's a good one. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
But the point is, with soothing, I think it's the case where those who are in pain and recognize, where the hell have I been? What's going on? I need your help. That's where you soothe. The ones that are still carrying on and let them go.
Yeah, exactly.
Bye.
Yeah.
So long. Enjoy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we've all got our succinct explanation of Q and the military operation that we can sort of give somebody in 5 minutes.
Right.
But then come the questions.
That's where
how do you know that then? How do you know that and I don't know that?
Mm-hmm.
What would you get that information? Do you get it off the internet? Well, yeah. I'm not going to get it from the BBC.
Right.
No, and it's funny, they've been in the crosshairs lately, haven't they? Because I was telling people how they doctored Trump's speech in COVID. The who said drink bleach crowd. People still say that now. So I sent them this brilliant 11-minute video. But obviously the BBC were outed, weren't they, about 2 or 3 months ago when they doctored 50 minutes out of his January the 6th speech. And now they're in trouble again because they've, or was it the BBC? Well, they've messed about with Hegseth's recent speech, haven't they?
Yeah. They basically made him say that they want to kill lots of Iranians or something.
Yeah. But do you really, I have a hard time believing that, right? I mean, I think we're all on the same page that they're being forced to self-destruct at this point, right? It's just that the people now see this. But I would venture to say we had I don't know if you know Joe and Scott from Truth Stream, but we were
been on one of their shows.
Oh, okay, great. And so he was talking about on one of his show, well, when he was on with us, that he had a person that he knew from childhood, whatever, and she has since been working behind the scenes, and she basically said, in a nutshell, this was all done by 2015.
And we've said many times that would they have released that first Q drop if that could have jeopardized this operation in any way, shape, or forward? And we've been told in the Q drops, we've said before, previous 2 years, next 6 years, that was in 2019, and another Q drop. We are far enough along in this operation not to jeopardize the plan. I've bastardized that a bit, but yeah. Well,
they planned it for decades and decades, and I often get people. The thing is, you want to help people know stuff, but at the end of the day, you've got to give them something to watch or read.
Yes.
And actually, a lot of them don't even do that. Whether they want to, whether they don't want their reality, their sense of reality to be shattered, whether it's a pride thing, I don't know. Because obviously, I virtually wrote this book specifically, with a few people in mind, because I thought, as I said at the start of the show, I need to explain then what Q and devolution is, okay? Because you're not doing the groundwork. So, but then those people who I had in mind, they haven't read it. They won't read it.
No.
So yeah. What can you? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter, does it? This operation is systematic. It's happening. It's unfurling. It's going the right way. Nothing surprising me. And it's we've got the most crazy, unbelievable future to look forward to.
Exactly. Yeah, I've just taken my background off because that's one of the most important lines we've learned over this. The truth is learned, never told. Yeah. You can plant as many seeds as you can and give people as much information, but until people have that awakening on their own, they're not gonna have that moment of I've been tricked, I've been lied to, I've got my heart broken.
Which I went through when you did, when we had that moment when we suddenly realized, there's that thing, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean to say they're not out to get you. Well, I was a little bit paranoid, and the day I found out they are out to get me, was a massive shock, because then you really do realize that your government and your BBC and everything you've ever thought of as you know, we all knew deep down. I mean, deep down, I knew a long way back, you know, that Russia wasn't our big enemy, and you know, a few things like that. And I had the 11/11 thing when I was a child, like very young. I used to see 11/11 all the time. I kind of knew it was something significant. I knew it'd be potentially something biblical. I remember speaking to my mother and asking her, why do I keep seeing 11/11? You know, I don't think we had much of a discussion, but still, that moment when you realize your children are not safe, and they want to kill us, basically.
Yeah, well, you know, a lot of this movie we're seeing play out is because the people have to understand what they wanted to do to us. You know, they wanted to eradicate humanity, apart from the serfs they were going to keep. But I was always seeing 3s and 33s. That's why I've got 333 after my name.
Right.
But lately, I just see 11s, but so many 17s. I went to bed last night. My little bedside clock. You bang the thing on the table and it flashes up the time. You know, it was
all the time.
23 last night, and then it goes on 23, and then it goes on to the temperature after that. So I went, well, there's a 5.5. That's 10. I wonder if the temperature is 16. Came up 16 degrees.
Isn't that crazy?
It's just all the time.
Numbers are probably the most like significant. I didn't really see too many numbers, but after 2016, I had after a really bad divorce, my whole life changed. I had like a very like serious spiritual awakening. And I have to tell you, I literally have conversations every day. I have my special numbers that are meant for me that I see. It doesn't matter where. It's a clock. It's a receipt, from the store. It's a license plate. It's a street sign. Like that communication, if you can begin to take that in and be receptive, the communication that happens with the 11/11 always, obviously, but it's we understand the power of numerology because numbers don't lie. Like there's no interpretation, so to speak. It's a number. And I think that so many of us that have woken up understand how these communications mean something. They're confirmations, they're warnings, they're just there to kind of let you know that it's such a bigger, like it's bigger. There's
I think it's God talking to us.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I do as well. And I think generally we're all fairly similar in as much as a lot of us were, maybe the black sheep of the family or a bit rebellious. I was I took drugs and played in a punk band and all sorts of things. But I was definitely the black sheep of the family, and I think we've got a lot of characteristics that are similar.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Whether that means we were chosen, I don't necessarily think we were chosen, but we were. I mean, both of my books, I wrote them both within a month, and it's like my wife would say, "Oh, you're being you're channeled. Someone, God's channeling through you or something." I don't really believe that. It just fell out. They're so easy to write. So somehow we've all we've got stuff in common, I think, from our childhood and our personalities and what have you. And and those that are willfully ignorant seem equally to have something. But then post jabs, they've all lost their pineal glands. So I'm starting to believe in NPCs.
Oh, fuck yeah!
As in, these people aren't even real.
Yeah,
I get that in the supermarket a lot. It's just you stop with your trolley to let someone through, and they come past. Zombie. They don't even acknowledge you, and that's why my pet hates that. If you stop to let someone cross the road and they walk across the crossing without saying thank you or something, oh, you fucking twat.
Yeah. When you're driving and you let them go.
Yeah, it's just you.
I'm like, don't you have any can't you be grateful? Like I get all like pissed off. But I was just gonna say, you just said, and I lost my train of thought. But about kids. So we all talk about like normies, and we talk about people like that are in our relatively adults age group, whatever. But I went through, my kids were teenagers, like during the 2020 election. And of course, from 2016 to 2020, 2016, we're all sitting together and we're rooting for Trump. And then by 2020, he's a misogynist. He's because I have daughters. And I thought there's two things I could do, because I'm sure a lot of other people are in this boat. I could start to tell them what I think, give them information, which I'm mom, so they're going to want to rebel and tell, I'm stupid. And I didn't. And I said, you know what? I mean, of course I was pissed off, but I was like, they're going to just have to get slapped in the face like everybody else. But it's interesting because I haven't said a word. They know my positions on things. They know my podcast, they don't watch it, but I've been noticing lately when I just say certain things, like especially about medicine, pharmaceuticals, that kind of thing, there's like this agreement. So I think the key is, if you have kids, yes, you want to impart things, but they're all go through the rebellion stage. They all want to prove that and you just got to step back, because they hear the news, they see things. You got to just let the white hat plan and the Q plan take its effect on them.
I think there's plenty of parents who are very awake, and even those like us who understand Q and what have you, who have a terrible time with their kids, because kids are just the peer pressure, the indoctrination in school. It's just off the charts, and you can't appear to be different at school because you get it, don't you? But I mean, my two girls are mixed race, and they have to put up with so much indoctrination from white people who are offended on their behalf. You know how it works, don't you?
You can't say that. Yeah.
Well, I can say exactly. And I'm really lucky. They just don't buy into it. They're so anti-woke. It's unbelievable. It's great. I feel for them, because they've got to operate amongst the people they have to operate with. My eldest daughter's making films, and she's just surrounded. Everyone's woke. Every time they decide, what should we do a film about? Let's do a film about the difficulties of being trans in business. And it's always the same shit, and she just can't bear it. But I think equally, I know people who are disowned by their children completely.
Yeah,
and I think awful.
Yeah, and I think mine are still young, 19 and 21, so they're not old enough to disown me because I'm still paying the bills.
Yeah,
but I think what happens is that the best advice I could give is don't preach. Just like anything, if you tell a kid not to do something, they're going to want to do it. It's just across the board. They're trying to find themselves sometimes, right? So I think the best thing is just to be yourself, stand in your beliefs, but you can't be preachy. I mean, there was so many times I wanted to say things, but one way they get girls, I think, at least in this country, maybe I'm not sure how it is in the UK, they build that resentment towards men. And all men are, misogynistic. And if they say this, so they have destroyed the men so badly, this toxic masculinity and all of that and all this. And I used to have wicked fights with my older daughter about this kind of stuff. Well, all of a sudden she starts dating someone serious, she has more serious boyfriends as she's having boyfriends, and they're not holding the door for her and I said, but you're an independent woman. Well, no, but so I think they start to learn on their own, why there's a difference between men and women, why you celebrate a man's strength in certain ways and a woman's differences, but that's unfortunately these kids get caught up in this propaganda BS, and they are trying, you know what I'm saying? So it's very hard to have kids and through this whole movement. And I say, let them learn like the rest, you know what I mean? Just,
but they haven't had a innocent childhood. They've been exposed. They're exposed to so much,
and they were
quality.
locked down. And they were isolated, and they had. My daughter said they used to put the things. I don't know if they did this in the UK. Like she would sit at her desk, and they'd have like these boxes like on the desk, and that's when I was like, "Oh no, you're gonna come home and you'll do the online thing because I'm not having you go to school with a mask on." With thought, like, think about the trauma: 15-year-old, a 14-year-old, a 7th grader.
I don't want to go too much into it, but I mean the psychological effects. Both of my girls have come out the other side, and they're great. But oh dear. But anyway, whilst I'm on a show about Q, I would like to ask a question. What's your 11.3?
What verifies the first marker? Now, there's a lot of talk about the Law of War manual, isn't there?
Yep.
We've seen many dates. I'll tell you what was interesting, and I can't tell you exactly what happened at the time. We were watching Trump's Truth Social, and it might have even been when Maduro got lifted, but his followers on that day, or it was something else, went from 11.2 to 11.3 on that day. Now, I know multiple meanings exist, but I would still suggest that it is the Law of War manual, because if you look at those segments and belligerent operation and stuff, and it is a military operation, and I believe that Law of War manual was changed, wasn't it, at a certain point in time?
I think it was 2014, right?
Was it?
Right before?
I think it was before the Q drops.
The reason why I'm asking is that I wrote a bit of a chapter on it because there's so many interpretations, and I just think it's interesting that there's the whole Q drops haven't been fully unraveled and interpreted universally. A lot of us have got our own opinions on things. There are a lot of drops or sentences within drops that have double meanings as well. But I was just I was watching I was looking at X the other day, and I think one of the guys from Truth Media did a kind of boom, and he brought up the drop where it says D in square brackets domestic plus China equals 11.3, and so he was saying, right, so that definitely means it's foreign interference, as in the Law of War manuals being about your country being invaded or occupied, right?
Which also brings in Trump's executive orders, doesn't it? Then,
well, no, it does, but I don't think that's so. So 11.3 is the first marker. So what I think, I'll tell you what I think it is, and what I've always thought it was. I think it's the Saudi Arabian purge, which started the 3rd of November. Most of it happened on the 4th of November. But if you look at things like Alice in Wonderland and all of the stuff with Hillary Clinton and all of her arming of old Saudi before it was purged, and just to know about that, just to know that she it was the largest military sale ever from the US, and she was Secretary of State, wasn't she? And her Clinton Foundation received something like 18 million or something back from that. But also China were the main suppliers of arms to Saudi Arabia as well. So the other thing with the law, and I know you say it's changed, but the Law of War manual, really 11.3 is basically about the end of occupation, the end of foreign occupation.
Yeah.
So like my question, so I replied to whoever it was, but I didn't get a response. I said, so when do you think? When do you think? I'm not saying it aggressively or whatever. I'm challenging. I'm literally asking, when is your end of occupation then? Because I would then think, well, that must be the inauguration of Trump in 25, right? When we've had the Biden years, that's the end of the occupation. And actually, if you read 11.3, that doesn't really mean a great deal. I mean, obviously, we know about Derek Johnson and John Harold. The brilliant thing about when I'm changing the subject now, the brilliant thing about the Devolution series is when I was listening to Patriot talk about it, and when I was reading his theories, because they were theories at the time,
right?
It wasn't until like several months, I think he got halfway through, and I was listening to him talk about it, and somebody started to bring up Q, and John Harold genuinely didn't know anything about Q.
Yeah,
and for me, that was the biggest proof that it all works, because he didn't write it on the basis of a theory to tie it in with Q. He literally didn't know anything about Q.
Yeah.
Anyway, going back to the 11.3, I mean, it could also be the midterms coming up, this year. And I was thinking it could be all kinds of things. If you look at the numbers and the alphabet, it could be KC, could be King Charles, or if you reverse that, could be Charlie Kirk.
Could be. And we also had that Kevin Kleinsmith in the drops, didn't we?
Yeah,
Kevin had his alarm and all these sorts of things.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you about a drop, because this is a drop you quote a lot, right? This is drop 60. You can count the people who have the full picture on two hands. Of those, less than 10 people, only 3 are non-military.
Yeah.
So that tells us that the people in the Q team, right at the top of the Q team, operators never divulge apart from what's passed out, is probably 9 people or less. And 3 of them are non-military. My question to you is, do you think Trump is one of the non-military people, or do you think Trump is actually and always still been in the military? Because he was in the military as a young man. I think he's been groomed for this operation his whole life.
He was in the military, but then if he was one of the Q team, why is he called Q plus?
Yeah,
that kind of indicates he's sort of outside of it, or in addition to Q. I don't know. I think Musk is very much part of the Q team now. I don't think he was originally, because actually he shows up in some of the early drops, doesn't he? There's references to him in not such a positive way.
There's a lot of information, misinformation, and disinformation in the drop. And Lisa and I have said before, and a lot of us have said, that the Q team have used us, and I don't mind that at all, to steer this awakening in a certain direction. It's almost they wanted us to take it sort of down the wrong path, for some of it, because we're all to blame, because we also were date fagging in the early days. We were all army friends. What was going to happen? This is going to happen at the inauguration. And we fucking lost a lot of people.
Lost a lot of credibility.
Totally. You can't help yourself, though, can you? You can't. Back then, I say in the book, dates, do not give dates. Never ever give a date out, because you'd lose all credibility. It's the same thing where you can give 100 proofs and one turns out to be incorrect. You've lost the whole lot. But no, we all did. And I do it again in my book. I kind of say that it's like when you're watching a football match and you say, our number 9's going to score from the next corner, because you can kind of see it happening, and it doesn't happen, right? And then everyone goes, oh, you said he was going to score. But then it happens 3 corners later. You are right, but you stupidly predicted it was going to happen a bit before.
Yeah.
So it's the worst possible thing that but also obviously Q is designed to prevent a civil war. whilst the operation is unfurling. So it's not just purely about us being the the calm before and during, and we've got, well, it is, because we're also persuading our mates to hold the forking line, even though in England we've only got a pitchfork.
Well, if you think about that time, like think about all of us around 2020. We were hit with the COVID scam, the election, they had to, quite frankly, build up from whatever it was, 2017 and before, right? With some of the other posts that were being put out there, they had to corral us. I mean, especially in the United States, a lot of people are packing here, and they didn't want them, losing it and going out. So this kept a lot of people with clear eyes to see, with armed, quiet, focused, getting in with crowds that were of so they're not arguing with other people who don't see it. And we were very psyoped to be redirected.
Yeah. Well, I mean, stopping us from uprising and fighting back is one of the accusations that we get, that you're just sitting back waiting to be saved and everything.
Operation Trust.
Yeah. Well, but they're always insulting with it. So you're a complete fool, and you're, and it's yeah. I mean, I don't know if they. The point is really, a lot of these people who are truthers, it's like I said at the start, they really don't know enough, and it's a shame, because if they did understand and read the Q drops, they would know a hell of a lot more. And it's nothing more than being more awake, or more of a truther. There's no untruths in any of those Q drops. In terms when it talks about people specifically and what they've been up to and who they're connected with, and we're seeing this playing out, and obviously they had it all from day one.
I'll just tell you something else about, well, you obviously know this, but about trust the plan. I do trust the plan, but we all believe that we, the people, are a massive part of that plan. Q drop 4511, it says, this has never been attempted. The use of general public to counter the narrative propaganda pushed by the controlled media, blah, blah, blah. Then at the bottom, it says a military civilian alliance. Which means this is why General Flynn comes out. We have an army of digital soldiers, and the use of the Socratic method. Yeah.
Well, who'd have thought we'd be doing this,
Yeah,
this is the thing. I don't know if I do. People say, "Oh, you love it" and everything, but I don't know if it's not about egos or anything like that. Some people do get caught up in it a lot. I feel like I've had no choice; just happened to be plonked in this position, and actually, one of the best things you can do is write a book, because actually, then you can say, "Well, here it is. Here's my thoughts on it all."
Oh, well, that's why I've done a podcast for the last 5 years.
It's recorded.
I've been banging on to people for a long time, but in May of 2020, started going out, just taking my GoPro when I was cycling, doing little videos, and I've documented the whole thing. So, and look, I love doing this, but I don't want to do this every day for the rest of my life. I can't wait for the day when I get up and I just walk past the computer and I don't turn it on. I haven't got to do any of this. When the normies get their red pill, where they cannot look away anymore, whatever it's going to be, the catalyst, Elisa and I and a few others are going down to Costa Rica for a little chill out in the jungle at Carrelmore in Friesons on a healing retreat, and then we might do a bit of other things and all that, and then we'll come back a couple of weeks or a month later, and then we'll go through it all with them. But I'm not going to be here. I need a rest, right? And we're going to do that.
Oh, man, so do I. But you're talking about documenting it in real time. That's why I wrote this one, because that's exactly what it is. It's a period of time that is unbelievable. You never know that. You never in your wildest nightmares imagine, that what we went through and how what we went through differed to what the normies went through, and the kind of things you find yourself doing, and how everything's sort of unfurling in real time. It needed to be documented. The same with the Q book. Basically, I was saying to the publishers, we've got to get this out really quickly, really quickly, and they insisted I did a audio book first before it came out. And I was saying, the storm is really coming really quickly now. So we've got to, because otherwise the book might as well be called Why Something Came and Went and You Missed It, right? So, and the amount of stuff that's happened since, it's only been out for like 3 months. I mean, the last 3 months has been absolutely crazy, and it's still the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, exactly that. Well, let's just talk about a couple of your. I've got your website up here. People can go to this. This is charlesfoxtrot.com.
Yeah, it's not the best website. I just knocked it up myself. Obviously, there's a bit of there's a few other interviews I've done, and there's books, and I've designed a few T-shirts, but they're basically expensive in the UK, but not so expensive in America because I haven't set anything up in the UK. But you've got links to everything there.
Yeah. Also, we've got your book here. I can put these links in the stuff. And,
thanks. That's the link to the great thing about that link is you can get the PDF version of the book for 1 cent if you wanted to. You can get it. You can just pay whatever you want. And if you've got that, it works well with the actual book. I mean, all of my books you can get at the usual obvious place, right? But obviously, some of the pages in the book contain some quite long Q drops, and obviously, I actually find myself doing it sometimes in a book. You do that, and you think you can enlarge the picture, but of course you can't. But if you go to that landing site and if you pay whatever you want and get the PDF, it's helpful because you can expand the images and the drops.
And it's also up on Amazon now as well. Why Nothing Can Stop What Is Coming, Charles Foxtrot. And I'll just say, this is great information. I sent you this as well, didn't I? I always say this to people. If you go to our patriotsacrossthepond.com, go to Substack. I did one about evolution and comms, and there's Joe M Plan to Save the World, but there's so many articles in here. Substack articles, video things.
I looked. It's a brilliant resource. Brilliant.
So there's so much information out there for people.
Sorry, my phone's going.
Yeah, that's right. So I think we've got to wrap it up in a minute. So
okay.
Any final thoughts, Charles? Brilliant to talk to you. Elisa and I could talk about Q stuff all day long, every day.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to, do it again because I could talk about it all day long as well. I mean, I've basically been on quite a few, and I've got lots of little lists, little bits and bobs that I've written down that I'd like to talk about. Like I wanted to talk to you about 11.3 or whatever, or the first arrest or whatever. So there's so much, and there's so much more because so much is coming out. So, so no, it's great. Yeah, good to meet you, and maybe we'll meet we could meet halfway somewhere. I don't know where that'll be. Some godforsaken.
Well, that'd be in the middle of the water, wouldn't it? So,
if you included me, it would be somewhere in the middle of the Atlantic.
Well, I was going to come to you, Elisa. I was talking to Stewie there.
I know.
A little bit easier, but when you go, we'll hook up in Costa Rica, right?
Oh yeah.
When it's all over.
Yeah. Do you know Carol? Do you? Carol, because you've been on with Mark Atwood, haven't you? Carol Maureen Friesen. I'll send you a little link to our healing retreat in Costa Rica.
Okay. All right.
But she does quite a few podcasts and stuff as well. It's amazing stuff.
I mean, you must get the same. Everybody tells you, oh, you must watch this, or I'll send you this to look at. You can't always guarantee that you look at everything, because obviously people send me stuff that's like 4 hours long. Oh, you must read this or watch this or something. I was like, okay, I'll try.
Once you've been doing this long enough, there's not enough hours in the day, don't you? And you watch so many people, and then you catch them saying something you don't agree with, or they contradict themselves. So you discard them and you hone, the people you do watch and the people you talk to and where you get your information off. But we're all using our discernment and we're all learning all the time. Absolutely amazing.
And we're all a bit burnt out.
A little.
Yeah. But I don't think I know we said it before. It's not much longer now, but I don't think it is. Actually,
no. It's thick and fast. All good.
Exactly that. All right, Charles.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was such a joy.
Yeah, likewise.
Thank
Lovely
you.
to meet you. Thank you very much.
We got a little partners promo at the end, but I've done a little 20-second bit of Trump on this as well,
Awesome.
which is great.
Yeah, and we will be in touch with you to schedule again.
All right.
Well, I think we should get off and we'll find a date and we'll put you back in because we can just talk some more. Yeah,
cool.
Thank you, everyone in the chat. We love you all. Love not fear. Even if it gets a bit airy and precipice-y, and where we go, one we go all.
Keep vibing high.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
Make sure you're watching Stu's News and Patriots Across the Pond for some of your awakening information. Amazing guests every week from Monday to Saturday. Visit patriotsacrossthepond.com and follow Stewie and Elisa today on Rumble for the live shows. And remember, where we go one, we go all.
In a world flooded with noise, clarity has become rare. People are questioning what they're told and searching for something real. Mr. Heal's modern wellness meets old school remedies. CBD tinctures, methylene blue, gummies and edibles, THC-free wellness, and functional remedies crafted with old school care and modern precision. Biozox, a trusted source for ivermectin and fenbendazole. Biozox, believe your health decisions should be yours, not dictated by politicians or big pharma. Crafted with purpose and precision, freedom forged coffee, cacao and mushroom tinctures, small batch roasted coffee, rich cacao, and functional mushrooms crafted with purpose. Verity Metals, redefining what precious metals investing should be. Why choose Verity Metals? We're not just another gold dealer. We're a trusted retirement partner. Our clients choose us because we lead with education, integrity, and transparency. Medical bills are the leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States, accounting for 66.5% of bankruptcies. We can all agree the healthcare system is broken. There is an alternative. Impact Health Sharing, which Yahoo News is calling the disruptor in the $4.6 trillion healthcare system. For more information, visit patriotsacrossthepond.com.